But I see what Bryan Danielson is saying. And then we're going to go to the entrances, the favorite wrestling entrance music of all time and the entrances. But what I'm looking at here is that I think the number one thing, there's a 1A and 1B with this. Number one thing is he's going through an immense amount of neck pain. So he doesn't know how much time he has left on the greatest run that he has in WWE. Maybe the greatest run of his career, according to fans, leading up to one of the biggest moments of WrestleMania 30, the finish and all that stuff and the yes movement and everything leading up to it. The fact that the fans put him into the main event. And there's a weird part of me that looks at that and says, what would the crowd reaction be if it was just Randy Orton versus Batista at the main event without him there or even on the show? Would they have really hijacked that show, the fans of WrestleMania, and made it like just unwatchable in a way for that match, which they would have deemed to be like less than without Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson? What he's talking about here on the B part of the 1A, 1B is if it's such a special moment and it's so sentimental, I want the woman I'm going to marry to be in the ring with me. So the company is kind of making it not as much of a memorable moment for him in real life, his personal life. And I can see he feels like he's holding a little bit of animosity. Why couldn't you let that happen? Why did you have to not make it the biggest moment it could be? But I think the pain he was going through too was, how long can I even, maybe he didn't even know he was going over till that night, but I'll put this match in and maybe afterwards I'll go away, get surgery or heal. But in relation to that, the All-In match against Swerve Strickland was more creatively fulfilling to Bryan Danielson and more personally fulfilling because now his kids are at an age where they can appreciate the match. They're there in the stadium. He gets to hug and kiss his wife and his kids. And of course, he won the title and he gets to celebrate the way he wanted to at WrestleMania 30. It's much more fulfilling. And people might be like, well, this is WrestleMania and this is AEW. No, it doesn't. This is Right to Censor and this is Stevie Night Heat. But to me, it's the other way around because of the creative and personal fulfillment. And I felt like I was doing something. And that part of it is he's watching this kid, Swerve Strickland, grow into the performer he is. And I get to work him and I get to have a moment with this kid who I watched grow as a performer. There's so much, I can see exactly why. It's more of a negative clickbait type thing in the end. Like, I hated WrestleMania 30. I hated being in the main event, But in the context, I can absolutely agree with him. And I put down one of the best entrances I saw was that final countdown entrance at All In and coming out and hugging his wife and kissing his kids and getting into the ring and getting the ability to celebrate in a WrestleMania level event in a stadium in England. You were there, right?
No, I went to the first one. That was Adam Cole and MJF in the main event. I couldn't make the
What are your
second one,
thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the comments? What would you, as a fan and watching both of these moments, what would you interpret this as?
I guess when you look back on, certain huge moments like that, and then there's like a bit of an unhappy backstory to it, I guess you always have that in the back of your mind as a fan, and it can taint it slightly. But once again, I mean, he's only human, and I think it's absolutely fair enough. I mean, if the thing's going on, he's putting on a brave face, then that's great. But
I'll tell you what, 3 months later, when I got the WrestleMania check, I'd be sentimental then.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, especially when you're in the main event and the opener. You'd think you got a good check bonus for that, wouldn't you?
I hope so. We assume, we also assume anybody on TV is a millionaire instantly, so we can't make that assumption.
What would you say? So would you say that Stevie Night Heat for you was basically your happiest time in your career as compared to, something like Right to Censor where you were working with, The Rock and everybody else and The Undertaker constantly, but, that was less fulfilling emotionally, I suppose.
Oh, it was way less fulfilling. No offense to those guys. It was way, way less fulfilling than anything else I had done, actually. I was more fulfilled in HWA and developmental than I was in the Right to Censor. I was more fulfilled doing Stevie Night Heat, even though you kind of had to look over your shoulder and eventually they were there behind my shoulder at 7, 8 months in. My time in TNA as Dr. Stevie, getting to reinvent myself when I had been pigeonholed into just somebody to put somebody over. Somebody watched the Marine trailer during commercial and comes back from commercial. I'm in the ring with the Barry O. You know, uh, being on the independents, working Wildcat Sports, being able to, here's an analogy, being able to, in the last like kind of like steady run and work that I had in pro wrestling in 2019, to be able to teach and bring along PJ Hawks, the son of Luke Hawks, in a storyline that would hopefully leave him a much better worker than we started. That's the fulfilling part that wrestlers creatively and personally can feel. And it hardly ever translates into the biggest moments fans see. It's really weird how it doesn't really line up.